Okay, actors, I'm going to talk to you about the craft of acting. This is an acting lesson, a 30-minute acting lesson. And a lot of you ask me for, do you teach acting? Can you teach me acting? I don't, there's nothing I love more than helping actors in the business and teaching acting. So I'm going to do a 30-minute class for you right here, right now, for free to teach you some of the important things that I want you to know about acting, okay? So here we go. The purpose of acting is to convey real emotions, believable emotions in made-up circumstances, right? So the situation is made up. You don't really go to that restaurant. It's a set. That's not really your house. That's a prop. That's a set. Those aren't really your dishes, right? That's not really your mother or your father or your husband or your best friend. You don't really have that job. So everything around you is make-believe. But the job of the actor is to believe and make the audience believe that it's all real. And the way that an actor does that is they learn techniques for bringing out their own emotions in the material. So let's say you get a script, right? Someone hands you a script. And all that's written on there is a bunch of lines from someone else that you've never met. The writer has written all these things on a piece of paper. And your job is to feel those things, but that's not your life. That hasn't happened to you. You're being hired to play that character. So now you're getting the words that you're going to say from the writer. You don't think those things? That's not your life. That's the character's life. So the skill comes from learning what the character is talking about in the script and then making it yours, making your emotions and your passions and your feelings about these words. That's the trick. That's the technique. And there's a lot of techniques out there to learn how to do it. There's the Meisner technique, the method technique. There's the Chubbuck technique, the Linden technique, the Howard Fine technique, Alexander technique. There's tons of techniques. A lot of acting teachers teach different ways of finding that believability. But ultimately, when you go into an audition, the thing that the casting directors are looking for is it believable? Is it believable? Do we believe what you are saying? And that's the only reason you watch television and movies too, right? Because it's believable. You really believe that's a vampire, right? On Vampire Diaries, you really believe he's a vampire. You really believe they're vampire brothers and they're both in love with that same girl. Or you really believe that The Rock Johnson is, in Jumanji, that they're in another land. And these things are happening and they die and fall out of the sky and come back. I mean, you have to believe. And the only way you can believe is if the actor is believable. So the whole goal of acting training is to become a believable actor. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? That means if I say, let's say the writer says that I hate this cup. Okay? The script says, I hate this cup. Now, first of all, in real life, I love this cup. It's a Starbucks cup, and I love it. I love how pretty it is. I can tell you why I love it. I love the green glasses. I love the way it says Los Angeles in them, and it's made like on a silver foil. I love her little pink lips because I like little pink lipstick, and I love Starbucks. I love it. Now, I drink them all the time. I like the way this glass feels, and I like that it's pink on the back. And I love this cup. And that's why I use it for my Slim Fast shake in the morning. Now, that's my facts. That's my truth. But if the line says, I hate this cup, I can't just say the line, I hate this cup. Because you didn't see me put anything really emotional into it. I'm just saying a line. In order for me to say I hate this cup, I have to have reasons why I hate it. That way it becomes believable. That way my soul is involved, my emotions, the way I move my body, my expressions, things will happen naturally that I don't even have to plan on doing because I'm making it real. So Now I have to take that one line and make it real. And I have to figure out why I hate this cup. I hate this cup because her hair color starts gray at the top and then turns blonde at the bottom. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. I don't really care for this green color too much. It could be a different color. I mean, it could match the straw. I don't like the way that those things don't match. I think her nose is weird. She doesn't have a nose. She just has these two little tuk-tuks underneath it. You know, she's very, very thin. It's like, is everybody thin in the world? Why is she so thin? And if she's drinking coffee, I hate coffee in my Starbucks. I like to drink it without coffee. I hate this cup. I hate everything about it. I hate the way this is coffee. It's not decaffeinated. I hate the color, the way the color of this green straw does not match her glasses. I don't like that she doesn't actually show her nose here. That's weird. Why is her hair gray at the top? That makes no sense. I literally hate this cup. I don't even think I want to use it anymore. Plus, why is the Starbucks written this way, sideways instead of the other way? I hate this cup. Now when I use the line, I hate this cup. Look at the way when I say it, look at my face. I hate this cup. I hate it. I don't like it. And then I will make more. And last time I took a sip from it, I freaking burned my lip. I burned it because I couldn't tell. Because this cup, it doesn't let you know when you feel it how hot things are. So I just picked it up thinking it was not hot, and I sipped it and I burned my mouth. And then I have to think, if I'm going to make that part of the story, I have to remember how much pain that caused, how I literally couldn't taste for 2 days because my tongue was burned. And I had Thanksgiving dinner that night, so it ruined my entire Thanksgiving dinner. So I couldn't taste any of the food that had been prepared, and I'd been looking forward to that. This cup gives me stress. I hate this cup. I don't like it. I don't even want it. In fact, throw it in the trash. That is how every line has to be done in your script. Every line. And now let me go back to my reality. I love this cup. But right now I'm so mad at this cup for all of those things that I just really can't deal with that cup. It's going to take me a while to get back to the reality of how I really feel about that cup, because I just created a whole lot of other thoughts and memories and things in my mind that go against how I feel about this cup. Whenever you have a script, and I have a dog making noise. Hey, ooh, that's my cat scratching the casting post. For the first time, she's always on the carpet. That's the first time she scratched the post. Good job, good job. So whenever you get a script, the key is to take that script and break it down. Acting does not mean, oh, I've got all these lines. Yay, I'm going to memorize these lines and then I'm going to say them. And so when I'm in the scene with someone, they say their line, I say mine. They say their line, I say mine. I'm listening for them only because I want to say my next line. And I know my line comes next. That's not acting. That's not acting. Okay, that is not acting. You take the script and you break it down. That means line by line by line, you have to make each thing you say real. And you have to do it with a point of view, with a perspective, with a passion. You have to strongly have a position about it, because in real life, we have a strong position about things. Okay, so let me give you an example. Personally, I think the education system in the United States sucks. Okay? I think kids get way too much homework, and they shouldn't have to do all that homework when they go home. If you look at countries like Sweden and other countries, they don't have all that homework when they go home, okay? Schoolwork is done in school, and they don't have homework. Because when you're home, you should be with your family, you should have downtime, you should be able to relax. But not in this country. No, they have incessant testing, constant testing, which stresses students out. And also, a lot of kids aren't good at testing. They might be very smart, but they get nervous around testing so that their scores suck. So that's not good. The fact that there are way too many kids in a classroom, the fact that they don't teach things that kids really need. Okay, they don't really teach a lot of life skills, relationship skills, parent skills. They don't teach money skills, how to start a business, how to resolve conflict, what to do if people get sick in your family, or how to deal with like life. They don't teach you how to deal with life. But you had that history class every single year. Well, you should have life class every single year, because when you graduate from high school and college, you're going to be dealing with life the rest of the time. So I think that our education system is extremely broken. Okay, we also don't teach love and acceptance of other people in class, which we should be. So the way I'm talking about this is because I really mean that. I really feel those things, okay? And that's what I look like when I'm passionately talking about something. My entire being is engaged in the conversation, okay? Now, let's say I get a script, and that script is about a mechanic who is really concerned about the parts on his car. I don't care anything about that. I don't know anything about that. I have no opinion about that personally. I don't. But let's say I'm cast as a mechanic who really loves cars and is really passionate about fixing cars and going under the hood and exchanging out parts and finding the problem under the hood and fixing it so that the car runs smoothly again because they love the sound of an engine. All the shit I don't care anything about. But if that's the character that I've been assigned to play, I have to feel just as passionately about what I'm talking about when I'm talking about mechanical things, and the same way I feel about talking about the education system. I have to find the passion in car parts, because that's the job as an actor, is for me to feel passionate about car parts, because they hired me to play someone who cares about that, right? And in the movie, let's say it's Fast and the Furious, and they all care about cars and speed and out racing each other and whatever. I don't care anything about that personally. But if I'm hired to play the female mechanic who's getting their cars ready for whatever they're doing, I probably care about those cars more than life itself. It's probably more important than my family, my kids, anything else I'm doing. I probably like my car more than my girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. Imagine that you're playing. That car probably means everything to them. And that means it has to mean everything to you. So how can you transition that? How can you make something you really don't care about mean everything to you? That's the job of the actor. So now we got to think, okay, I know what I'm like when I'm passionate about what I really care about in life. I got to feel that way about this carburetor. And now I got to talk to myself about it. I got to talk to myself about carburetors. That's not just learning the lines and saying them because it won't be believable, because I don't feel anything for cars. Yeah, I like that they get me around, but I don't care about the parts, and I'm not interested in dissecting cars and putting them back together, right? But if I'm playing that character does. That character cares. And then we have to think that character has probably always cared about cars. In fact, whenever they got their allowance, they probably were using it to buy car parts to fix up some old car in their backyard, because they've always loved cars. So now I got to really become that character. I got to start thinking like the character does. It doesn't matter what Wendy thinks. It doesn't matter what you think. What I think about life in real life. I'm talking about, I am now been cast in Fast and the Furious as the mechanic who fixes their cars. And that person loves cars. Loves them. It's their whole life. That means I have to feel that way about it, so that when I say those lines, I really mean them. So that means I got to do some homework on this. Okay, why? I don't know. I don't even care about car parts, but that means I probably would Google car parts, because for one, if I really loved car parts, I'd know what they are. I don't know what they are. So I probably would start by Googling car parts and look at videos showing me under the hood and watch the passion that they feel about it, the excitement they feel about it, because they're all thrilled about it, right? And I would at least know the difference between the engine and the carburetor and the muffler and the whatever. I would know the basics, right? I mean, you can't be a car expert and not know these things. So then I would have to think, I'd start talking about those things in my house. I'd start talking about them. It's amazing the way cars run. And I'd have to figure out why. Because, first of all, it is interesting. Figure out what's interesting about it. That's what I would do. What's interesting about it? The fact that you put gas in it and somehow that goes through a whole system and you put your foot on it and then it goes forward and you can get anywhere, you can travel all over the country. That's fucking amazing. Honestly, okay, so I probably would watch a video about how cars work and where does the gas go and how does all that mechanism work, like an overview about cars to understand how it is. And then I could see how I can find that as a miracle, amazing technology that does that. And then this character cares so much about it because these characters who are going to be in those cars are going to be needing to be safe and they need to be able to go really fast. And I know I have the expertise to make them safe and to protect them and to make sure that they are taken care of in their car and that it's not going to break down on them and I can fix it. And I probably am very proud of the fact that I could look under a car engine and just be like this and like, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. And I know how to fix all that. It's like I do an acting career coaching. I look at their careers, their materials, and I'm like, wrong, 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 right, 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 right. Because I'm an expert at it. I know careers of actors like the back of my hand. I'm passionate about it. So I have to feel that way about cars. I can probably go under the hood, look at a few things and tell you this is wrong, this needs to be fixed, this hose is broken, you need to replace this. And I can do that in about an hour and you'll have it back. It'll be brand freaking new. There's probably a sense of pride, a sense of control, that they have the ability to control something in this crazy life, right? So I have to get inside the mind of the character so that when I say the lines in the script, I mean it. It's never about just saying the lines because then it's never believable. If you don't have a point of view behind the lines, if you don't have a real passion for what you're talking about, if you don't really care about what you're talking about, the audience will feel that. And in an audition, the casting directors will feel that and you won't get the part. You have to feel what the character feels. So if you're going into an audition and you're more concerned with, I wonder if they like me. I wonder if I'm doing a good job. I wonder if this casting director thinks what I'm doing is good. You're thinking your own thoughts. You're not thinking the character's thoughts. The character's thinking about cars. The character's thinking about how incredibly amazing the tool of a car is and how many people have to go to work on that car. Like if you watch a video on assembly lines, how many different people have to do different things to get that car made. Pick a car you really, really love. Like I love the Porsche. That's my favorite car. And my Mercedes that I have. But the Porsche 911. And watch how it's made. Go watch a video. This is all part of the research as an actor. You have to research the character you're playing. Can't just say the lines. Yeah? So watch a video. I'd watch a video on the Porsche and how it's made. I want to see them put it together from scratch. No Porsche to a Porsche. That's fascinating. I'm getting excited talking about it. And if you notice when I first started talking about it, I didn't care one iota about it. Because in my real life, I don't care about cars like that, except if it's safe and gets me where I need to go. But the more I talk about it, the more excited I get about the process of making a car and how amazing that really is and how all those people create all those different parts that work together in perfect sync to create something that moves the entire world around the planet. It's freaking incredible. I have to have that point of view if I'm going to play somebody who's passionate about cars. So if you understand what I'm saying, your job as an actor is more than memorizing lines. Your job as an actor is to think about the character you're playing. How do they feel about what they're talking about? How do they feel about the person they're talking to? What if they love cars and they're passionate about cars and they're talking to someone who doesn't, or who's not taking care of their car? That would probably piss them off a little bit that they're not taking care of their car. Like, doesn't that person understand how incredibly amazing this car is? Like, why aren't you taking better care of it? I want to know why. Now look I'm literally talking myself into my passion about cars and getting upset with the person that's not taking care of their car. This is how the imagination works. This is why actors are such great storytellers. That's why great actors are great storytellers. Because by the time you finish with your script, you should have asked yourself all kinds of questions. I'm having a conversation with someone that doesn't take care of their car. How do I think about that person? I think that that's stupid. And I think that they're being disrespectful to the car. And I think they're also putting themselves in danger because they're not taking care of it and they're not driving it safely. And they don't value the car. Like, I'm having a feeling of a little of disdain and irritation with this person who doesn't care about their car. I'm only able to create that feeling of irritation and disdain because I'm talking about this whole thing from the perspective of a person who's excited about cars. Let's say I was doing that about pens. Honestly, I have no feeling about pens in my real life as Wendy Lane Wright. I don't have an opinion. I don't have a perspective at this moment. I don't care. It's a pen, it writes. That's it. I'm going to have to change that if I'm going to play a pen salesperson. Let's say the role is a person that goes door to door and sells pens. That person is highly passionate about pens. Has to be, or how are they going to sell them? And maybe selling those pens is how they feed their family. And maybe at home they have a child that is disabled. And the only way they get to have treatment in the hospital or medicine is if they sell a lot of pens. See, I got to make a reason why I care about these pens. It might not be written in the script, so I might have to create the idea in my head. That's called making choices. And when you make choices, you make the biggest choice you can. Like, my child will die if I don't make enough money for their medical treatment, so I need to sell a lot of these pens. Okay. The amazing thing about pens, they allow you to sign your marriage certificate when you get married. That allows you to make that commitment to your spouse. They help you fill out your college application so that you can get into a school that you really love. When you go to the doctor and you're sick, you have to sign your name, and that signature allows you to get treated by a doctor. This isn't just a pen. This shapes your life. When you check into a hotel, you have to sign. You have to write in pen what kind of car you drive, that you're leaving in their parking lot. You have to, sign for your credit card. Every time you eat at a meal and you go to a restaurant, a pen signs your signature and you get that food because you signed with a pen. The pen is the key to life. Everything you want to achieve, you can do because there are pens. That's how important these are. And this particular pen, and since you use them all the time, and you know how a lot of times pens run out of ink, or pens, sometimes they get lighter in certain places and darker in certain places, and then it looks messy, and then you look messy, But when you have a pen where the writing is really, really smooth, and it doesn't run out of ink it's just like it goes for the longest pen I've ever seen. This pen lasts longer than any pen I've ever seen. So once you buy this pen, you're going to be able to write for years with just this pen. It's not going to run out of ink for years. And you're going to be able to do all of those amazing transitions. In fact, you should get more than one. You should get like 5. Because you have one in your house, one in your purse, one in your car. Your husband carries one in his truck. You have one at your office. Maybe you need to get 10. Because then you can give a couple pens to some friends. Because once they use this pen, they'll never want to use another pen again. Now, do you see how I just turned my thinking around about the pen? I'm actually starting to appreciate, I really am starting to understand and value why a pen is so important. Because I never thought about it that way before. But a pen salesman probably has. There has to be a perspective. You have to have a reason for saying what you're saying. you have to love the pens if you're a pen salesman, especially if you need to raise the money for your child for medical care. The more pens I sell, the better my family will do, and the longer my child will live. So yeah, that's called bringing stakes to the situation. Like the stake is really high. If I don't sell enough pens, I won't have the money for my child's medical care, and they could die. That's called raising the stakes. A low stake would be, I don't have a pen. Someone asked to borrow one, and I didn't have one. I said I don't have one. That's a low stake. Nothing's at stake, really. I go get it from someone else. Nothing's at stake. Nobody loses anything, but that's not interesting. When you're an actor, you have to raise the stakes as high as you can so that this pen becomes extremely important. And what I do to sell this pen, maybe I've slept in my car because I didn't want to go home and tell my wife that I didn't have, or my husband that I didn't have the money from the sales that day. So I stayed out an extra night to make sure that when I go home, I have the money from these pens. And I was embarrassed and ashamed that I didn't have the money. And I have to go hit 5 more houses to make sure I get that money. This pen becomes my life. And if this pen is my life, it's very important. And automatically, I'm starting to feel emotions for this pen, for my family, for my child that's going to die if I don't get them the money that they need. And your imagination pulls it, takes over. Look at how I'm starting to feel. And I'm not forcing it. I'm not make-believing it. I literally feel this way right now. And I literally feel like this pen means the world to me. And that I have to, like, this is automatic. When you talk about the character that you're playing, let me get back to myself. When you talk about the character that you're playing, it is more than saying the lines. It is about finding the life of the character that you're playing, finding the feelings and the emotions of the character that you're playing. And when you can do that, then you memorize the lines. And those lines will come from the life of the character that you've built. Whatever someone hands me a script and I have to learn lines, like say I'm playing that character on a TV show and I'm a series regular, and every single week I'm a pen salesman. That's what I do on the series. Series regular, pen saleswoman, right? And I play that character for 10 years. By that time, I'm going to have a collection of pens. I can just see myself collecting them in silver, gold, every color in the world. I want the kind that click and this. And I remember there was a kind that used to have all these different colors. I'm probably going to have a pen collection at home that's rivals like the best Laker collection of memorabilia, because pens are my life. And maybe I've been able to afford a great house, and over 11 years, my child has healed from her condition. And I have a beautiful Jaguar that I've been able to buy because I'm the #1 pen salesman in the world, and I am cocky about it now, a little bit arrogant, or maybe I'm extremely grateful about it, but still, I've won many awards, top salesman awards, top salesperson awards for selling the most pens. And at home, I have a shelf of trophies of selling pens, and for me, I've accomplished something great, and I'm proud of what I do, selling pens. I create that entire character. And then every week when the writers give me the lines that this pen salesman says, it's coming through. The lines are there, but the life is what I've brought to the character. It's my passion about the pens. It's my feeling about my child, my family, my house, my car, the pain I suffered when I was in the car sleeping because I didn't want to go home. All of that memory, all of that experience is in my imagination as an actor. Then when I say those lines, I'm not just reciting words that don't mean anything. I feel it, I mean it, because I'm living it in my imagination and in my heart, because I've talked about the character, what the character thinks. So when I walk in that audition, I'm not Wendy Lane Wright. I am for 1 minute. Hello, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here. Now I'm the pen salesperson. And what I'm saying, I have a point of view about it because pens matter. They are the entire source of my income. My entire life depends on it. And I am very good at what I do. I can sell pens better than anyone else. In fact, I've won 10 awards as a salesperson at pens. I am the #1 salesperson in the United States. And I'm proud of that. So that's the character, and that's what I'm thinking about. And I'm doing the lines, and whatever the character's talking about, I'm thinking about that. I'm not thinking about Wendy Lane Wright, her real life. What do these people think about me? I don't care what they think about me. I'm not there for them to think about me. I'm there for them to see the character. When I'm in the audition, I'm there for them to see the character. Me in my personal life is none of their business. What they think about me as a human being, that's none of my business. What they think about what I do in my spare time or what I do with my relationships or my family, that's none of their business. Their job is to see the character. And if I'm not the character, they won't see the character. And if you're not the character, they won't see the character. And if they don't see the character, you won't get the part. But if they see the character and they see your passion about whatever it is you're talking about, and they see that you mean it and you have a point of view about what you're talking about, they'll see the character. And if they see the character, you'll likely get the job. That's acting. You understand? And that is not something that you can do just by getting scripts and memorizing them and saying the lines, because all bad actors do that. All bad actors do that because there's nothing believable in it. So bad acting is when you don't believe it. And bad actors aren't on television. I mean, occasionally one slips through, but most of the time, bad acting does not get hired as a series regular on an ABC network show. Bad acting is not acting opposite of Will Smith in a movie. The most believable person. And when you have auditions, they pull out several believable people. Actors who are good are believable. You believe there's a dinosaur chasing them. You believe they're hanging off of the cliff of a building. You believe that somebody has a gun in their face. You believe that the husband just left. You believe they just found their child dead. You believe that they got in a car accident. You believe that they just married the love of their life. Because they believe it. And they believe it because they've broken down the script. They've thought about all of the things that character feels and thinks, their perspective, the perspective of the character, what's important to the character. And that's why the actor believes it. And once they believe it, you can see it. And then you can believe it. And that's what happens when we watch movies. We believe what we're seeing. We get taken into this incredible other world for the 2 hours we're watching the movie. And those people really are those people that we're watching on screen. They believe it. We believe it. And we have a good experience watching a movie. If we didn't believe it, it would be a shitty movie. And people don't invest in movies to put actors in that aren't believable. Because $10 million is on the line making a movie. $100 million is on the line making a movie. So your job as an actor is to figure out what techniques work best for you. What makes it more believable? What makes it believable for you? So I think that when you train, you don't just train with one teacher. You know, you might train with one teacher for 6 months, then train with another teacher for 6 months, then train with another teacher for 6 months and learn several different techniques. And then you figure out, because it's like a tool, let's talk about like a construction worker, right? When you build a house, you can't just build the whole house with a screwdriver. You need different tools for different things. And when you're an actor, you need different tools for different things. So when you study different techniques, you'll put all of those in your tool bag. And when a role comes up, but you need a certain technique, you'll pull that out and you'll use that on that film, in that script, in that moment. But you got to fill your tool bag with techniques when you're brand new. You don't have any techniques in your tool bag. Yes, you can talk. Yes, you can walk. Yes, you can smile and laugh. You're a human being. But being a human being is not the same as being a trained actor who knows how to break down a script, make it completely believable so that every word out of your mouth means something, is true. And you have a tool bag full of different techniques to get you there. So I'm just teaching you a technique, but there are other techniques and there are other teachers who also teach you techniques to get you believable. Here's my homework for you. And this is a technique I want to share with you. Write down on a piece of paper 5 things you have extreme perspectives about, point of views about. So for example, I would write down race. I have a lot of opinions about race and the way that people are behaving around it and the way that I wish they would behave around it. And videotape yourself talking about a subject that you're really passionate about. Then pick a subject that you're really, really, really angry about. I probably should use race for that one. But anyway, a subject that you're really angry about. And record yourself talking about that subject. Everything about it that you can think of for 10 minutes. Just talk about the thing you're the most angry about in this life. Then do love. Record yourself talking about love. Being in love, the love you have for your friends, your family, your grandparents, your lover, what you love about love, the beauty of it. Talk about it. Record yourself so you can watch how you move and talk when you're being real. When you're being real. Then do something about fear, something you're very scared of. Talk about it. Let yourself feel scared. If that brings tears, let it bring tears. Then do sad, something that breaks your heart. Something that breaks your heart in this life. A loss you've had, somebody died that you've missed, an animal, a friend, a pet, a parent, something in life, just something about life that breaks your heart. And then talk about it for 10 minutes and watch, get all these tapes. You've got anger, love, hate, fear. You've got these 5 really big emotions, okay? Your job is to watch it back then, one at a time. Watch it back. And watch how you naturally talk when you're being real. When you really mean what you're saying. Because you're talking about your own feelings now, right? What does that look like when you talk about your own feelings? What does your body do? What do your movements do? What's your head do? Your eyes, your hands? Watch. Watch what you look like when you're real. And then get a monologue about one of those emotions and learn it, break it down, record it, and watch the one about love that you did about your own life and the one about love in the monologue and see if you're the same in them. Because if you're being real when you're doing a script, it should look just as real as when you were talking about it in your own life. When you are talking about something from your own life, something you're angry about, I'll just say race. I'm very angry at the way that people treat each other in this world because their skin color is different. So you're going to have to let yourself go there. Right now I don't want to go there because I'm in a good mood. But as an actor, you have to let yourself go there. Okay. The way that Black people in this country have been treated because their skin is black. It's like we don't look at trees and go, oh, that tree's taller, that tree's thinner, that tree has more leaves. I hate that tree. We don't hate flowers because they're different. We don't hate trees because they're different. We love trees because they're different. We love flowers because they're different. We don't look at animals and go, I hate that sheep because it's different than a cow, that's different than a goat, and it's different than a butterfly. We don't do that with anything else in life. The planets, I hate that planet. It's not the same. Saturn's so different than Mars, and they're just different. There's no hatred But people, you're black, you're Asian, you're different, I hate you. What is that? What is that? I just realized that anger, that I'm anger, but what my real emotion is about that is extreme sadness. Extremely sad about it. The fact that we make those kind of judgments about people and then we don't treat them the same because they are different on the outside, that breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. I feel it in my body, and I feel it in my, everything changes when you are really feeling something, right? Acting is feeling real emotions. Acting is feeling real emotion in made up circumstances. If you want to see what you really look like when you're upset about something, record yourself when you're really upset. What happens? Because your body reacts a certain way, your breathing changes, your pauses in your words change, things change. And if you watch it back and you look like, that's what I need to be looking like, feeling like, sounding like when I'm taking these lines that I didn't even write, that didn't even happen to me, but this person in the script is upset. You have to have whatever makes that character upset, relate it to what makes you upset. That's how you're going to make it real. And if you know yourself as an actor, what makes you in love, what makes you hate, what makes you sad, what makes you excited, what makes you laugh, and you know what that feels like organically in your body, and you study that and you see what that feels like, then that should be how you feel when you're playing those characters who are having those emotions. The feelings should be in your body, should be in your heart, should be in your breath, should be, it's natural, right? It should be natural. Acting should not be forced. It doesn't need to be forced. You just need to engage your heart and your mind and your imagination. And if you can see it, the audience will see it too. All right, so that's my lesson for today. And it's been a pleasure teaching you. I will, if you enjoyed this lesson, post below, subscribe to my channel, and let me know if you want me to teach you more about acting. I'll do more videos like this if that's something you want me to do. But that's it for right now. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'm glad you're an actor. This world needs storytellers. And your talent, it's an amazing thing. The fact that you have this gift, it's an amazing thing. If you are called to be an actor, it's because something inside of you is calling you to tell stories. It's pulling you towards the camera. It's pulling you towards the audience. It's pulling you towards acting because it's amazing. I just got cast in a pilot for a TV show, FYI. And the funny thing about it is the character I'm playing, her name is Karen, and it's not one of those Karens that hates people because they're not her. It's a girl, a woman who is an educator who is pissed off with the education system in the United States. Are you kidding me? Sometimes, and a lot of times, you'll get cast exactly as you are. So the producer called me last week and offered me the role. And the first thing I started thinking about was I have to read the script of what she's pissed off about. But I started speaking about it out loud about what I'm pissed off about in the school system. And there's a lot, the fact that they cut music programs, cut acting programs. I have a lot of reasons I don't like the school system in this country. I'm going to read the ones that she has, and I'm going to get as passionate about those as I am about the ones I have. I'm going to become so passionate about those, they're almost going to become more passionate than the ones that I have. And then when I say those lines in that show, I'm going to mean every single word of it. And it's going to be fucking great. So you guys go out there, follow your path. If you need acting classes and you don't know where to start, go to a couple. Here's some really good acting classes that you can just get yourself into, okay? Amy Linden has an amazing technique. When you train with her, you have to train with her sub-person first, the guy who knows her technique, teaches the technique. Then once you learn it, then you can train with her, okay? Sherry Shaw Studios, Margie Haber Studios. If you're going to learn to audition, bookfromtape.com. Judy Kane, Darren Warren. So many amazing teachers. Just pick one and start. Have a great journey. God bless you. And I'll see you in the next, maybe I'll do another lesson.